This segment of the Alice Stewart Show is brought to you by the Countertop Store, Central Arkansas's premier countertop authority. For custom fabrication and installation of granite, tile, laminate, copper, and more. The Countertop Store, 888-510-4773.
Thank you for spending part of your Monday morning with us. 7:20 on a Monday. I'm Rex Nelson filling in for Alice Stewart. Be careful on that drive into work as you start your week. Steve Brawner still with us, well-known Arkansas journalist, as we talk politics. Let's break them down. Senate race, Steve. Your gut sense still pretty close, right? Still very much in play.
It's very much in play. You know, you've got to look at the independent voters, which have definitely, are definitely in Hutchinson's favor. Cotton's
favor. Yeah, I agree.
Traditionally, if an incumbent is not above 50% in the polls, he's in deep trouble. And Pryor has never gotten there that close. And so you keep wondering if at the very end, or I keep wondering if at the very end, Cotton is going to pull away. But at the same time, the rules have changed a little bit with politics. The voters are not that easily persuadable. And the Democrats are confident that they have this ground game that we don't. It's hard to measure, that they think they can get a lot of people to the polls on Election Day. But my sense is that it's still because Pryor has never been able to break anywhere near 50%. That if I had to bet money, I'd bet Cotton, but I would not bet money.
The difference from 4 years ago, of course, and we have seen this red tide sweep Arkansas, both in the 2010 cycle, the 2012 cycle with President Obama, so unpopular in this state, pulling other Democrats down with him. At this time 4 years ago, we had an incumbent Democratic senator. Not only that, she was chairman of the Senate Agriculture Committee, and she was already dead woman walking by this point in the race. It was obvious that John Bozeman was going to win and win by double digits. Is the difference this time the deep well of good feeling, maybe just for the Pryor family and the Pryor name, going back to his dad's long record of service? How's this race different than the race 4 years ago?
I guess that would be a big part of the difference. Senator Pryor did not have a primary opponent. Lincoln had a very strong one.
Very tough primary, yeah.
So that was a lot of it. That's, traditionally having that primary opponent is a major factor in whether or not an incumbent is able to get through, because a tough primary does so many things. It wastes your money. It divides your base. But obviously the Pryor name has got to be a big part of it. And then Pryor is just he is an aggressive politician who's seriously trying to win this race and has been trying to win it for a long time. So that's probably another factor.
All right, let's move on to the governor's race. Same sense, close, still very much in play. Same sense as the Senate race.
That one is, while I think, like the Senate race, I just have the feeling that at the very last, the independents are going to break in Hutchinson's favor. He's been ahead in the polls a little bit for a while. He did have a little hiccup with the property tax issue. I don't know if that has as much staying power because it was really a minor issue.
Yeah, I think it's pretty minor.
But again, as with the other campaign, you certainly, again, if I had to bet money, I would bet on Hutchinson, but I would not bet money.
Understood. So, again, still in play there.
Right, definitely.
Second congressional district seems to be close in the polls. French Hill against former North Little Rock Mayor Pat Hayes.
This is a chance for the Democrats to win this one. This one appears very close. Surprisingly, we're going through I would have thought that the fourth would have been really competitive. And
I was going to get there, and I was going to say, if you believe the polls, Bruce Westerman, the Republican, has consistent double-digit lead over James Lee Witt. That not necessarily that the Republican is ahead because Arkansas has changed, but that it's so big. That has surprised me.
It would, because Witt, has deep roots in this state
and a golden boy of the Clinton administration.
You would have thought that he would have, and the fourth district is pretty rural, still has some big Democratic pockets. I would have thought that was a lot closer. So of all the races, the second district is the closest, and I'm not sure why.
Yeah, but care to offer? Are you seeing the same thing there? You think independents will break Republican down the stretch, same as you're thinking in the governor's race and the Senate race there in the second district race?
I don't know about that one.
Yeah.
That one is, Hayes has run a strong campaign. And so that one is, if the Democrats are going to win anything,
you think it may?
That would be the one I would think. But of course, the Ross and Pryor campaigns too. But that one, that one would be a decent shot. But again, I'm not calling that one at all.
Yeah.
I don't know. That one's 50-50 for me.
The three big races, though, that are close, which is going to make for a fascinating election night in Arkansas. Now, we have some ballot issues that we're dealing with. You wrote just recently about the minimum wage. Obviously, it must be pretty popular because we've seen all the Republicans even getting on board publicly now.
All of them, which surprised me because, typically the Republicans are very doubtful about the minimum wage, and, they feel like it's a government intrusion. But you've seen Tom Cotton, who's never one to stick his finger in the political winds, but he's announced he's for it. Ace Hutchinson has kind of gone back and forth on this one, and now he says he's for it. So, French Hill, not quite sure what he's saying on that one, but it sounds like he's for it. So the polls are so overwhelmingly for it that it's going to pass.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've seen a lot, counting. People threatening lawsuits back and forth. The wet-dry issue has been a hot issue in Arkansas this year.
Yeah, there's a chance that that we'll get rid of that whole designation. It kind of is an interesting case because it pits the question of, does every adult in Arkansas they have the right to purchase a product that's otherwise legal, versus should communities have a right to set their own standards and make their own laws for public safety? So it's kind of two different values there. Well, there's another lawsuit because supposedly they got the petitions in 3 days too late. And every time we have these initiatives, I think I've seen more of these thrown off the ballot than actually appear on the ballot.
I go back to my journalist days, Steve, and I can remember sitting there, getting close to the election day. And one year when I was political editor of the Democrat Gazette, the Supreme Court threw everything off on the same day. I remember what a huge story that was. So we're used to that in Arkansas.
Anytime you have the casino, that was any kind of gambling, anything, it's always hugely challenged, with deep-pocketed lawyers on, trying to get it off. So, this will be no different. We'll just have to see what happens.
Yeah, but back to one of the original points you made, and certainly these ballot issues are affected by that shadow too. We made the point that for the first time since '66, we're late in a governor's race without a clear favorite or an incumbent in the race. And yet this Senate race is so big, so much money being spent, so much national media attention. It's like sucking the air out of the room, right, out of all these other races.
Yeah. How do you run for attorney general?
I was going to say, in fact, we've got a pretty good attorney general's race, it seems like, between Nate Still and Leslie Rutledge, yet it's hard to get any attention for it.
Yeah. There's a Secretary of State. There's a race there. I mean, you've got everything's up for grabs this year. I don't know. And Lieutenant Governor, how do you run for those races when you're going to get very little attention and the Senate race is just everything.
Yeah, and it is even going to get more heated, more national attention. It almost has that feel with all the national political reporters either calling or in town. Almost has that feel of being back in 1992 again, doesn't it, when Bill Clinton was first running for president of the United States?
It does, but I guess in 2 months they'll all go away and we'll go back to real life.
Absolutely. At least until the next election cycle in Arkansas,
which will start on November 9th. Or
absolutely. All right, so the next election cycle, does Mike Huckabee run for president? I'll just put you on the spot before I let you go. He's thinking.
He looks like he's thinking about it. There's something about the way he's talking, the way he's acting, in the speeches that he's making. Man, I think he might be doing it.
All right. Full disclosure, Steve and I both worked for Mike Huckabee, but we'll see. Steve, thank you very much. I appreciate you joining us this morning.
Thanks, Rex.
Always enjoy our discussions. Arkansas journalist Steve Brawner, you can read him in publications across the state, and make sure you do it because he's got a sense of Arkansas better than about anybody I know. I'm Rex Nelson. I'm sitting in for Alice Stewart. This segment brought to you by the Countertop Store, 9817 Maumelle Boulevard. You can call them at 888-510-4773. That's 888-510-4773.